Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia City Council Chambers. This is a regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We'll call this meeting to order. Today's date is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2024. The time is 5:30 p.m. We have a full council agenda today, so we'll get through it as efficiently as we can. Pam, please take the roll call.
Motley. Here. Friedlieb.
Here.
Paulson.
Present.
Beyondich.
Present.
Johnson.
Here.
Baronzelli. Here. Cuffey.
Present. Would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll move to item 4 on the agenda, which is a public forum. This is an opportunity for anyone from the general public that would like to address the council this evening. This is your opportunity to do so. If you would like, you can come forward at this time. Seeing none, we'll move to item 5 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the City of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval and corrections of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 8th, 2024. Item 5.2, the adoption of Finance Resolution Number 24-020, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3, approve the following travel requests. 5.3A, Britt C. Bennis and Pamela Levine to attend the MCFOA Region 2 training, November 15th, 2024, in Sandstone, Minnesota, at a total cost of $325.46. And item 5.3B, Assistant Chief from the Fire Department, EMS Eric Jonerson, and Lieutenant Dustin Erickson to attend Fire Officer 3 training, December 8th through the 13th, 2024, in Camp Douglas, Wisconsin, at a cost of $2,700. These are the consent agenda items before the council today. Looking for action.
I'll move the consent agenda.
Councilor Johnson moves to approve the consent agenda. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Friedlieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, appearances. We have no one scheduled to appear before the council this evening. So move to item 7, unfinished business, the clinic lease, under item 7.1. Do we have any updates or any additional information of Brian or Britt with respect to the clinic lease as we're moving at a snail's pace closer to a resolution?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm aware of no update since the last committee of the whole meeting.
Thank you. Still working in an open line of communication on this matter.
We are, and we've reached out to get a question related to a bond issue answered by our bond counsel, and we should, once that answer comes in, the conversations should continue.
And I think part of that conversation may become later down in this council agenda. It's about the appraisal for that as well. Okay, thank you. Any other questions about 7.1, the clinic lease? I'll move to item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1 is adopt a resolution approving the transfer, number 1, from the investment accounts held with the 4M fund to the city's general fund. Now, we do this annually on a regular basis. If anybody would require an explanation, we could certainly provide that for you. Our finance director is not present, but I'm sure we could provide any information if you have a question about that.
I'll move the approval of the transfer.
Councilor Freely moves to approve the transfer of the 4M investment fund. Is there support? By Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.2 is adopt a resolution to approve the hiring of a library associate, youth services.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm excited to see this. Unfortunately, it's much too late. For the general public's knowledge, the library, due to some staffing issues, will only be open for the next several weeks, Monday from 1 to 6 p.m., Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 5 p.m., and Fridays, 10 to 5 p.m. It's unfortunate that we haven't been able to staff the library previous so that this kind of thing doesn't have to happen. And I apologize to all those folks that will not be able to use their library in the customary way because of this. Thank you.
It has been moved and supported under 8.2 to adopt a resolution to hire the library associate youth services position. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Motley.
Just like I had said in meetings past, I will be supporting this due to the fact that I'm told it is a very important position down at the library. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Motley. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8.2, under 8.3, adopt a resolution to approve the hiring of a casual library aide. Interviews were held on 10/21/24. This is a casual part-time position, and what is it, 20 hours a week? Up to 20 hours a week, thank you. And at a salary of $15 an hour or so. Okay, thank you. Looking for council action?
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Motley.
Just like I have in meetings past for this particular position, I will not be approving it due to multiple taxpayers reaching out and also another email sent today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Motley. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
No.
Friedli,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Barancelli, Cuffey.
Aye. Well, motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Item 8.4 is adopt a resolution ordering the repair or removal of nuisance conditions located at 108 First Street North. The blight notice of removal of nuisance conditions. There are several that will be coming forth to the council. This is just one of them.
So moved.
That's moved to approve by Councilor Johnson and supported by Councilor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the committee of the whole meeting that was held October 15th, 2024. Item 9.1A, and we'll turn this over to our city administrator, Britt Seabenis. Britt?
Thank you. At the Committee of the Whole meeting on October 15th, 2024, Mr. Matt Reed, our engineer of record from SCH, was present to discuss various projects in the city. He discussed the professional services agreement that he had prepared for the Rotary Park Sewer Project, which is expected to be completed in spring 2025. At the Committee of the Whole, it was moved and supported to approve the professional services agreement with SCH for the Rotary Park Sewer Project and for a lump sum fee of $14,600.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Councilor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, please.
Had received a request to discuss the Fifth Avenue and Chestnut Street light standards, and we will be moving that to our next budget meeting. Further discussion in the Committee of the Whole was regarding the quote for updated appraisal for the Essentia Clinic. After discussion with the committee, it was moved and supported to direct staff to obtain a quote for an updated appraisal for the building that houses the Essentia Clinic.
So moved.
Move to approve by Councilor Motley. Is there support? By Councilor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
City Council had received a request from a citizen requesting that we make the intersection of Third Avenue and First Street North a four-way stop rather than a two-way stop. We had some great discussion with Matt Reed, our engineer of record, and At the Committee of the Whole, it was moved and supported to refer the request for additional stop signs at the intersection of North Third Avenue West and First Street North to the next Street and Alley Committee meeting.
So moved.
I'll move to approve by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Freely. Further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. One moment, please. Thank you. Next item, please.
For the council's review at the Committee of the Whole meeting, we presented the proposed policy regarding public participation at city meetings. I did make some changes as suggestions that came from the Committee of the Whole meeting. The changed one is in your packet, and we bring it forward today for the request to approve and adopt the policy for public participation at city meetings.
So moved.
I'll move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
We also had discussion at the Committee of the Whole meeting regarding the building security policy and procedure for city facilities. There were some suggestions that were made in the request for the city council, the city staff to add in an amendment to the policy that prohibits council members to access City Hall after business hours unless there's a business need or scheduled meeting. That is in the current policy. It's in your packet. And we are again bringing that one to you for your approval and adoption.
Okay, thank you.
I'll move to approve.
Counselor Motley moves to approve the security policy as amended. Is there support? Support by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. As I was not here and watched this on YouTube, I do have some things to say, and I wrote them down. I have had access to this building for 7 years and 8 months. Prior to that, 7 years plus to do my job as a city councilor to the best of my ability. 7 years to come in to do my job. 7 years to access my workspace, to plan and coordinate special council events. 7+ years to read my emails, to read my packets. 7+ years to research and learn how to best serve the citizens of Virginia. I have spent countless hours preparing and executing special events to the benefit of the city and the city council. For 7 years, I have gathered, organized, transported, set up, staffed, and cleaned multiple events which members of this council attended and were grateful for the work I did in the off hours of City Hall. As I've said before, for me, having access to this building allows me to have an active young family, serve my community, and continue to be the best representative of all of our citizens. I have been background checked and vetted countless times for my work as an educator and as a state licensed foster care provider. I am open and I am honest. I do my best to set a model of behavior for my community, my students, and most importantly, my children, and that's a behavior they can be proud of. With all that being said, and because you, Mr. Cuffey, have proudly proclaimed multiple times you have asked this policy to be put on the agenda, and you have voiced explicitly that other officials other than you should not have any access to this building, I need to ask you and would like an answer to what has changed that the city needs a policy explicitly barring me from doing the jobs I have done for 7 years.
I brought this up for discussion. It was discussed. A policy was adopted. We discussed it at the council meeting. It's amended to that point. That's where it is right now. It's on the agenda to approve or not approve.
So I will state once again that many of you have made the comment that you don't need access, and I respect that, or you don't want access. I respect that. I both need and want access to this building. I believe this is a discriminatory policy that singles me out specifically, and I think it's being done out of spite or out of revenge or something. I do not understand what has changed. And so I will not be supporting this, and I ask you to carefully consider why it's excluding elected officials except the mayor. That is all I have. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please, Pam.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich,
Aye.
Johnson,
No.
Baranzelli, Huffy,
Aye.
Motley.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Next item, please.
It was moved and supported at the committee of the whole meeting to proceed with the request for proposals process for the cleaning services for city buildings and to meet with AFSCME for further discussion.
So moved.
Move to approve this by Counselor Motley. Is there support? By Counselor Baranzelli. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
I need some clarification because when we first started this process, the idea was that we would be saving money by having professional cleaners come in. And over the last several meetings, we are going to be having professional cleaners and keeping all the current staff, which simple math indicates that we're going to be spending more money. One, I'd like some clarification on what exactly is happening, and I further will not be supporting this because of that dichotomy of logic.
Yeah, thank you. Are you looking for some specific clarification here, Counselor Johnson, from somebody from staff?
I'm looking for it from the counselors, not from the staff.
Okay, Counselor Motley.
I just assumed this would move discussions to AFSCME like we have with other positions across AFSCME when we're looking to outsource to possibly save money. So don't we go from there? Britt, can you help me understand the proper on how this goes can you explain it to me?
Yeah, this is a first step. We would have to, no matter what we decide, if we're going to decide to reallocate the staff or remove the staff or however we're going to move, you have to meet with the union and have that discussion. So this would be the first step, is to meet with the union and discuss what our plans are.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second on the floor. It has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Beyondich.
So, Britt, on this, the way it reads, it is to proceed with the request for proposals. So do you do that hand in hand with meeting with the union? Or do you meet with the union first?
I think we'd probably do it hand in hand because we had some questions we came up with at the committee of the whole meeting that we do need answered and some further discussion. So kind of like we do with most of our letter of intent kind of things, where we'd get them into a formal agreement and we'd have a contract we would approve. So that would be the next step with that, moving forward with that proposal, is we'd ask them for the contract, start clearly defining those few things that we had questions on, and getting that's one path. And then while we're doing that, we talk about the staff.
So these are issues we discussed during the negotiations. I mean, in closed session, we discussed this as a council and made decisions and had an idea of where things were going. And those meetings are all public now. People want to go on and listen to them. So if I'm understanding this correctly, we're not taking any action. We are just putting it out there to clear up what those proposals were, and then having the conversation. So we're not really taking action.
We'd have to bring back a contract from the vendor for you guys to approve
And
finally.
at that time, it can be approved or not.
100%.
And then other decisions have to be made as to what this council talked about
Correct.
as a whole. Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Counselor Beyondich. We have a motion on the floor and a second. It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, sorry.
Thank you. Roll call, please, Pam.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich,
Aye.
Johnson,
No.
Baranzelli, Huffy,
Aye.
Motley,
Yes.
Friedlieb.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-1. Thank you. Next item, please, Britt.
Had a discussion at the committee of the whole meeting regarding the personnel committee meeting that was held previous to that meeting. At this committee of the whole meeting, we had brought forward the newly revised job description for the digital multimedia technician for the city council for the discussion and approval, and we'd bring the final copy here today for your review.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Johnson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next item, please.
We had a great discussion regarding the letter of understanding between AFSCME Local 454 and the City of Virginia for the Finance Office employees. After the discussion, it was moved and supported to refer that letter of understanding between AFSCME Local 454 and the city to the next Personnel Committee meeting for further discussion.
So moved.
Move to approve by Counselor Freely. Is there support? Is there support? Is there support? Counselor Barnzelli supports. Further discussion. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I was shocked that we were going back on a recommendation from a committee again for something that's saving us thousands and thousands of dollars. If my recollection is correct, the total cost would have been about $16,000 for our staff that worked within their normal work hours, incurring very, very little overtime because they didn't want to incur overtime because of their busy lives. I feel like this letter was negotiated in good faith with the union, and by us sending it back says that, yeah, you know, you can work hard for us, but we really don't care. We're gonna toss it around a little bit and not give you what we said we would. I see this as a total disincentive for our staff to do anything above and beyond anymore when it comes to helping the council move forward. The amount of money we've saved by not having the third person downstairs is astronomical. The amount is almost nothing. These two staff could have done their regular jobs and then done overtime, in which we would be paying probably 5 or 6 times that $8 an hour stipend. So I don't think it should go back to committee. I think we should be paying them as we agreed to, so I'm not going to vote for sending this letter back to committee. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Johnson. So it has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Motley.
Yeah, so I know I supported this moving forward last week, but I've had a week to kind of think about this, and I will not be supporting this moving forward. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Freely.
Yeah, we did, have a lengthy negotiation sessions per se in the Personnel Committee meeting. Came to a negotiated tentative settlement that we did advise AFSCME would have to come before the entire council, and couldn't guarantee that in fact what our tentative settlement would be passed. And so that's where we're at. And so I'm hoping that AFSCME is willing to come back to the table and continue the conversation with regard to compensation that I agree is justly due to the people that have been doing the work and the work that has been done. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Freely. So it has been moved and supported to send this back to personnel, and I think we have a personnel committee of the whole. It's going to be scheduled for this with other items on the agenda as well. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Yondich,
Aye.
Johnson,
No.
Baranzelli,
Yes.
Huffy,
Aye.
Motley,
No.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Paulson.
No.
Pardon? Passes to move, motion passes to move it to the committee of the whole meeting for further discussion. Thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, please, Counselor, first Counselor Johnson, and then, no, Counselor Johnson.
I will make a motion that we approve the letter of understanding and take it off of the agenda for the Personnel Committee.
Yeah, 4 yes and 3 no. I'm sorry, Counselor Johnson, I'm a little confused with the previous motion. So it was 4 yes and 3 no to send it back to the committee of the whole meeting. Yes. I'm sure the Personnel Committee, I mean. Would you please read back the vote, please, Pam, and please hold your next motion in abeyance, please. Thank you.
Okay, the ayes were Beyondich, Baranzelli, Cuffey, and Friedlieb. Nay, Paulson, Johnson, and Motley.
Okay, thank you. So motion passed to move it back to the Personnel Committee. Thank you. Councilor Johnson, once again, please repeat your motion.
Thank you. I will motion that we approve the letter of understanding between ASCME Local 454 and the City of Virginia and remove it from the Personnel Committee meeting.
Okay, thank you. Moved by Councilor Johnson. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Councilor Friedlieb. Is there any further discussion? Hearing Councilor Motley.
We had a lovely, long discussion on this whole thing last week. And just to reiterate, and I can just repeat briefly what I said last week, that this would blow our police department wages right out of the water. It would put them well over the highest, 20 cents less than the highest paid, most senior qualified accountant for St. Louis County. It would cost, $16,640 a person, getting $8 an hour increase because of a person missing in the office. So a total of $33,280. Plus on top of that, they'll be getting 3 months pay whenever a third accountant is hired. So they'll have that $8 an hour increase for an additional 3 months upon whenever this additional third individual is hired, and a 5% increase at the start of January for AFSCME's contract. I think it's just too much. There are taxpayers hurting. I think we need to cut the budget, not spend the budget, and I think this is way too high. So I am hoping that this does not pass yet again. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Motley. So it has been moved and supported to approve the letter of understanding that was discussed at the meeting, correct? That was moved from the committee of the whole meeting. The motion is on the floor by Councilor Johnson. It has been moved by Councilor Johnson, supported by Councilor Friedlieb. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Motley.
One last thing. So when we have a police officer that gets hurt in the line of duty, does all his coworkers receive a stipend because he's out recovering? Because they're working short-staffed?
No.
Okay. What about the fire department? Do they receive a stipend when somebody gets hurt, burned, they're attacked by an individual while trying to save someone? Does the fire department get
No.
reimbursed when they're short-staffed?
No, out of class pay, if they get out of class pay.
Okay. So this mechanic that we never filled in Public Works, does that mean everybody in Public Works is going to now get money because there's no extra mechanics? So now they're doing more work down there, so they're going to be requesting raises also, or I guess we call them stipends. I'm just wondering if this is where this is going.
In the ASME contract, or in all the contracts, there are mechanisms in place or articles in place for compensation in out-of-class environment if they're working in a position and then they're charged to do something in out of the classification, they get extra pay. Just if a clarification from Brian, please, on that. Thank you.
And Mayor, I actually turned my light on for a slightly different reason.
Oh, okay.
I was going to raise a point of procedural order.
Okay.
I mean, technically, having a subsequent motion that's directly in conflict with an original motion it's technically a motion that's out of order, but could be considered a motion to reconsider the question, which if that motion passed, then the original question could be readdressed by a subsequent motion.
So, thank you. So Counselor Johnson's motion could be amended for that statement, right?
Correct. Essentially, and technically, I think we could continue the discussion on this motion, but the effect of the motion would be a motion to reconsider the initial question of sending this back to, because the two motions, one motion to send the issue back to a committee is inconsistent with a motion to pass it. So essentially, that motion to pass would need to be phrased as a motion to reconsider sending it back, which would then, if that, and this, I apologize for confusing the issue.
No, it's not. It gives us some clarity here.
But essentially, I think, Mayor, for purposes of considering the question, we could consider it a motion to reconsider the decision to send it back to personnel.
Yes, thank you, Brian.
And that would be phrased by Counselor Johnson's
I would amend my motion to reconsider.
Okay, so that was the amended motion for reconsider as suggested by legal counsel, and the person who supported that would be Counselor Friedlieb, and you would accept that part of the motion?
Yes.
Moving forward. Okay, so further discussion with that. Counselor Friedlieb.
Well, we had a position that was vacated, and the director of that department budgeted for that position, and so I guess we have money budgeted for the work that's been done and is being done. And the compensation package that was agreed to actually, like Counselor Johnson alludes to, saves significant money compared to having hired that position in full. And so we're not using the entire allotment for the budgeted position. We're using a portion of that to pay people to be compensated for the work that they've done and continue to do and needs to be done by the city. And then, I guess I understand where Counselor Motley's coming from, but I think that's somewhat of a red herring comparison because you're talking about continuing contracts, whereas opposed to a compensation package is a finite period of time. And so, yes, it's significant compensation for significant work that needed to be accomplished and continues to be accomplished. But it's costing us less than having hired the person for which it was budgeted. And it can't be compared to a continuing contract because it will be a finite compensation package. So that's why I moved it forward from the Personnel Committee for those reasons. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Freely. Any additional questions or comments before we move? First, we'll go to Counselor Beyondich and then back to Counselor Johnson. Counselor Beyondich.
Thank you. And I can agree with that. But after having time to think about it, I did ask the question, how many hours of overtime were incurred? And we didn't have that because our finance director is not here. So logically for me, we approved was it an MOU or LOU to work 4 10-hour days during the summer so they could enjoy having 3-day weekends, correct? So if the work was done and in the AFSCME contract, they are compensated. They got a wage increase with that contract, right? They get compensated for overtime. So they're not doing anything that isn't out of line. That is in the contract. They do the work. If they incur overtime, they get paid overtime. Just because money is left doesn't mean it needs to be spent. If that makes any sense. I compare it to a home budget. Good for me if I can save some money. But And if a lot of overtime was incurred, with our finance director not here, we didn't have answers to these questions. So that's where I'm kind of stuck, is and you motioned to me when I asked the question on overtime, and you went 0, and I'm thinking, the work got done on 4 10-hour days. If overtime is incurred, they receive overtime wages. That's what the AFSCME contract reads. That's what was approved. They approved that contract. So that's where, I mean, I wanted it to be go back so we could talk about it more, but after having time to sit and process this, I was like, if no overtime was incurred and the work was done, and a lot of that work was due to the audit. They were pushed and crunched for time to get that. And I appreciate all the work that has been done. I truly do. But I am looking at that AFSCME contract that we had angst over. They got a wage increase. And they do get overtime pay for any hours incurred to work and do overtime. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Counselor Biondic. Counselor Johnson.
So when a officer is out on a shift, it is posted for overtime, and other officers can take that, and we pay them time and a half for that. If a mechanic is out and they need to do extra work, it's posted for overtime, and they do that. Same way with the fire department. I've ridden along on shifts where there's 3 officers and not 4, and they are doing the work of 4 officers. They are doing what they need to do to get it done. By not validating that our employees downstairs did additional work, I think if I remember right, Megan said during breaks and during lunch or something like that. And some of that work was being done by Sherry, who does not get any extra anything for doing additional work, just other work has to be done later. So I don't think we're comparing apples to anything when it comes to this. I think that comparing this, it's easy to select which cities we want to compare to when it comes to what other positions in that are making. However, they're not the same. They're not the same job description. I don't remember hearing anything about Hibbing and how much their accountants make, which seems to be the one city we're always comparing to. So I think there's a lot of invalid arguments here about what we're doing. Mr. Lindsay, I appreciate the clarification on what my motion needed to be. I've never done this before. I've never felt this strongly about stringing along our employees when they thought they were going to be thanked and appreciated for the work they had done and being removed. So I stand by my motion to have the question reconsidered. And I think we need to be very careful as we move forward, because I can foresee overtime skyrocketing now when we're asking other people to do other things, and you're absolutely right. What happens next when someone needs to fill in? This is also a non-precedenting LOU, which means we're not going backwards, and it doesn't set a precedent for moving forward if it should happen again in a different department. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Johnson. Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. Brian, could I have you clarify if this motion passes, what that means?
So essentially, I'm sorry, Mayor, if I may.
Please, Brian.
Essentially what happens, a motion to reconsider means that if this motion now passes and the motion to reconsider the initial question passes, it would nullify the vote to send it back to the Personnel Committee, and then the topic could once again be put on the table for a motion to pass the MOU.
So it will negate, if it passes, it will negate the motion to bring it back to Personnel Committee.
Correct. the result of that initial motion to send it to personnel would be eliminated.
Okay. So I would not be in favor of that. And we did have some very long, we had a great meeting. I will, be the first one to say that. After different information has come to light, my position has changed on this issue. And I don't, I wish that language would not be used such as a counselor speaking one's opinion and being called invalid. I think every one of us has a valid reason that we speak and on the things that we speak regarding. So in the future, I would like to reserve words that invalidate people because we all are elected to have our opinions. That being said, I will not be voting to move this motion forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Counselor Paulson. It has been moved and supported to reconsider the previous motion. It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Counselor Freely.
So should this motion fail, then we will be returning to negotiate at the Personnel Committee based on the
Correct.
previous motion.
Goes back to the original motion stands and it goes back to Personnel Committee.
Correct. If the motion to reconsider fails, then the original motion, the result from the original vote to refer it to the personnel.
Okay, thank you. Has been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
No. A roll call, please, Pam.
Johnson,
Aye.
Baranzelli, Huffy,
No.
Motley,
No.
Friedlieb,
Aye.
Paulson,
No.
Beyondich.
No.
Motion fails. Motion does not pass 5-2. The original motion previously stands. Okay, thank you. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Since this was a budget concern, I will once again make a motion that the city councilors pay half of individual insurance for the next budget year effective January 1st, 2025.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Johnson makes that motion. Is there support? Support by Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Thank you. This room, we continually talk about money that we can save, low-hanging fruit, $16,000 for a couple of people working extra, and yet there's $60,000 to $80,000 sitting out there by counselors leading and taking an insurance benefit cut, and that $60,000 could easily cover what we're trying to provide to our employees right now. And I think that anything other than a yes vote on cutting our own insurance it's not what you should be doing if you want to be demonstrating leadership and cutting the budget. This is easy, low-hanging fruit. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Johnson. It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Motley.
I just want to state that we did take a cut. We did move our insurance to 80/20 last year. To be a working member on the city council and have 3 jobs, which is what I have, it is a sacrifice. I lose money every single time I step foot in this building, so I did not run, and I've reiterated this, I did not run for city insurance, but it is a sacrifice to be working 3 jobs and attending these meetings. So at this point, I will not be supporting this moving forward. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And I know we had this previous discussion before. We still have budget discussions moving forward before we approve the final budget. That is one of the items I think that's on the list for additional discussion about what percentages should be, et cetera, and if there's going to be any major changes made for there. So that's still room to take a look at this matter, but it has been moved and supported at this council meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? No. Roll call, please.
Baranzelli, Huffy,
No.
Motley,
No.
Friedlieb, Paulson,
No.
Beyondich,
No.
Johnson,
Yes.
4-3, what is that, how does that stand?
4 nays.
And 3 ayes. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Next item, please.
Item 9.1I is be approved the memorandum of understanding between MAPE and the City of Virginia for the interim designated building official at the committee of the whole meeting.
So moved.
Move to approve the memorandum of understanding between MAPE and the City of Virginia for the interim designated billing official. Motion by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
There was no further action at that meeting.
Thank you. Item 9.2, Building and Grounds Committee that was held on October 18th, 2024. The chair of that committee is Counselor Johnson. Item A, B, C, and D. Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. We met, let me get to the right page. Britt, can you help me with what page we're on? There it is. All right, we met at 8 a.m. last Friday, if I remember right. We had some good discussion about Bailey's Lake and getting some grants to do some restoration around the beach, at the lake in the beach area. It was moved and supported to approve working with North St. Louis County Soil and Water Conservation District on shoreline restoration on Bailey's Lake North, and I so move.
Moved by Counselor Johnson to approve the shoreline restoration project for Bailey's Lake North. Is there support? Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
B is to approve working with North St. Louis County Soil and Water Conservation District on a shoreline restoration project on Silver Lake Buffer area, and I so move.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. There was also some other discussion about the Silver Lake Beach area and the buffer by Klein Cupoletti, but Parks and Rec is working on a larger, more inclusive grant for other opportunities for recreation in that area, so that'll come back at a later time. We got a letter from the HRA to construct a roof over the existing mailboxes in the course of the road construction and sidewalk reconfiguration last year. All of the mailboxes that were kind of scattered around Pine Mill Court were moved to one central area. And through some kind of misunderstanding or miscommunication, portion of that is on city right away. And so what they've done is requested that we grant them the permission to put it over the current mailboxes, which should not affect our plowing or the sidewalk, as a HRA keeps all of that clean anyway. And it'll look nice. There'll be no electricity in it. It'll be well built very sturdily. So I will move to proceed to allow the easement for HRA to construct a roof over the Pine Mill Court mailboxes.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. Counselor Freely.
Would the construction project then be taken care of by the City of Virginia then? And our materials and labor, or no?
I think they're asking for an easement.
They're
Counselor
just asking
Johnson.
for the easement.
Yes, they're just asking for permission to build it, and they have the plans and everything, and they'll take care of doing that themselves.
Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D is to accept the donation of land at 090040-00010. This is a property that is kitty corner from the Public Safety Center and in some pretty dire need of being removed. With the city taking ownership of that, it is ability as we move forward to create a space for redevelopment of its zoned commercial, if I remember correctly, for potential Second Avenue redevelopment up and down. We do have, Councilor Beyondich did ask about the contingency fund, and Britt provided that at the beginning of the meeting. There is, Britt, would you please?
Yep, the request for the donation required that we pay the remaining taxes for this year, and the transfer fee, it'll be under $3,000 total for everything for us to pay for that. And then because we are a city entity, we do have the ability to get grant money for the demolition, whereas private citizens have a harder time getting that. So it is more advantageous for us to take this property specifically because of its proximity to our new building. Right across the street, it'd be nice to have something.
And as noted on the contingency fund, that $3,000, there is quite a bit of money left for so I would move to accept the donation and provide can that be one motion or does it have to be two to provide the $3,000 to accept that?
If you approve the resolution that has that in there. that would be
Okay.
I'd support that.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support?
Support.
By Counselor Motley. Further discussion. I have one item, then we'll move to Counselor. One just question. If we accept this property, are there any ancillary soil remediations or anything that we have to do that we're aware of? Once we accept this property, we accept all responsibility of anything that has on that property that if we are to develop that, we would have to remediate. Is that correct?
Because of the proximity, we have a phase one that includes that area.
Very good.
So we know what's in that area already
We've had the phase one.
because of where it's located. Yeah.
Thank you, Britt.
Yep.
Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a question. In terms of, so the purchase price would be 3,000?
Nope, it's zero. It's a transfer
Oh,
to
it
us.
says transfer is zero?
Yep.
And what is the $3,000 cost?
Up to 3,000 would be if, like I mentioned, they did pay the taxes for last year, so there's a little bit of taxes for this year that need to be paid. The recording fee, deed fee, and
Essentially
closing costs. Yes.
Okay, and then the structure would need to be taken down, so there would be cost associated with that, or would we be able to?
City staff would do that, and we would apply for a grant for remediation.
And then I just have one more question regarding the process that we're using tonight on this agenda. Since we do a hybrid of committees, I've never seen a committee come forward, a committee report go right to the council. It always goes to a committee of the whole. So I'm wondering, are we changing the procedure and not allowing conversation to happen at the committee of the whole level? Although I'm comfortable and fine with everything that's in here, but I'm concerned about our procedure or the way that our process was for this evening's meeting under 9.2. Should that meeting was held October 18th, and should then that not have been moved to the committee of the whole like every other committee meeting is done?
Well, yeah, this is an anomaly that it came right to us from the Building and Grounds meeting to the council meeting. Normally, what we would do is, once the committee of the whole meets, it would be forwarded at the following committee of the whole meeting, and then talked about there, and then come to the following council meeting. That's true.
Okay, so is there a reason that this was changed and circumvented the way we normally do our process?
We've done both ways, depending on what it is. I mean, there's been times where we've had a meeting right before the council meeting and approved the information right then. So it's happened both times. The HRA thing, it needs to, winter's coming. By November 5th is our next meeting. They needed to get that going, so that's really why that had to go fast, but.
And like I said, I mean, I'm okay with these items that are coming forward, but it doesn't leave any room for any discussion regarding anything. So in the future, I would request that we would follow our normal procedure because I think that this is out of the norm.
Sure, make that in the form of a motion.
I will do that after this one.
Pardon?
I will do that after we vote on
Oh, I
this one.
apologize. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Very good, thank you. I'm sorry, you do it. Did you make a motion for that? No, there is not.
Johnson did make
Oh.
one.
Which one's that now? Read it back, please.
Resolution for
Okay.
the part to accept.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor and a support to accept the donation of the parcel. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries. Counselor Paulson.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess what I would move is that we follow, after every, I guess, committee meeting, that it gets presented to the committee of the whole, not that it doesn't come directly to the council. So make the motion to, after the committees meets, that it goes to the committee of the whole
First,
for consideration. Thank you.
yes, thank you. A motion by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. I will just point out at the March 26th regular committee of the whole, or regular agenda meeting, 9.2 was a personnel committee meeting. So this does happen from time to time, and it is nothing out of the ordinary or anything else like that happening. It does happen, and it's just out of a matter of convenience. I will be voting no on this motion.
Thank you. Moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
No.
Roll call, please.
Huffy,
Aye for clarity.
Motley,
Yes.
Friedlieb.
No.
Paulson,
Aye.
Beyondich,
Aye.
Johnson,
No.
Baranzelli. 5
4-3. Correct? 4-2?
5-2.
5-2. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. Okay, 5-2. All right, thank you. Anything else for the committee meetings? Anything else? No? Okay, I'll move to item 10, commission liaison reports. Does any city council have a commission liaison report they'd like to provide today? Councilor Johnson.
I will once again like to remind the public that the library hours until we can provide more staff will be Monday, 1 to 6 p.m., Tuesday through Thursday, 12 to 5 p.m., and Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I would request that we make sure North Star Elementary knows that those hours have changed, as I know many of those children utilize the library after school for homework and research.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other commission liaison reports? Move to item number 11, department head reports. Is there any department head that likes to give a report? We'll go from left to right. Britt, anything else to follow?
I would like to just give a brief update. We've been meeting with FEMA regarding the city's portion of costs that were incurred on the June 18th storm. We had a recap meeting again today, working through the debris removal portion of our grant application. We are going to be meeting on November 5th, I believe, regarding the emergency overtime that was worked the night of the storm. And then the final thing we're working on is the proposed mitigation for future storms. So it's been good. They've been wonderful to work with.
They have been very good.
They've been
very
wonderful to
professional.
work with, yes. They sent staff here from the Chicago office a couple weeks ago. So now we've been working by Zoom with them. They've been great to work with. So I'll let you guys know when we get back to that total dollar amount we're going to get back from them, and we'll get some funds back from.
Was that a conversation with the Small Business Administration person that I referred you to, or was that something separate?
Something different, actually. We've still been working with just FEMA directly from Region 5. And like I said, they've been really great to work with and
Very good.
keep rolling on with getting them the information they need. It's a lot of information because it is a federal government and they ask for a lot of things. So we keep providing that information to them and we'll get there.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
thank
And
you. Yep.
I've heard a lot of good things about how we as a city, as a council, as a staff, handled that situation. It was extremely difficult for the residents and the businesses, and we're trying to do everything we can to help them remediate and recover. So thanks for all that. Okay, thank you, Britt. Anything from legal at this point in time, Brian?
Nothing further from legal tonight, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Pam, anything that you'd like to report? Do you have numbers with respect to the absentee voting? I know the staff is, you've been working tirelessly for that. Pam?
Thank you, Mayor. It's been busy, and we are doing direct balloting right now, and we'll be open Saturday from 9 to 3 for anybody that wants to come in and vote. And we've processed probably about 500 or more absentee ballots right now.
In comparison,
mail.
in comparison to the previous years, is this more?
That was, yeah, this is a lot more, yes.
Thank you very much. Sherry is absent this evening. Jenny, do you have anything updates at all? None. That would be a no. Okay. All right, thank you. Okay, we'll move to council reports. Many council have reports they'd like to give this evening. Councilor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple of things. The bridge across the lake is sorely over timeline. However, contrary to popular belief, there were no mistakes made. The last 3 pieces are very customized pieces that can only be built after the rest of the bridge is staked and in place. We don't know when they're coming, but I can guarantee you that when they do, we will be having either ribbon cutting or ice ball cutting ceremony of some sort. And I also want to just really thank those folks who have voted early and encourage all of the citizens of Virginia and anybody watching that your vote counts. It matters tremendously, especially in local and regional elections. Please get out and vote. Please have a plan. Please call someone if you need transportation. There are lots of people and lots of organizations willing to help. This is the last meeting before the election, so I wish everybody good luck, and we'll see what happens on November 5th. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilor Johnson. Any other council reports? Okay, I have a couple of items I'd like to bring up, actually one particularly. First of all, I want to thank all the general public. I know all the councilors and staff are being called, when are the streets going to be done? When are they going to be, the bituminous going on? The hot plant is back up and running now. They're making sure that they have everything ready to go. By the end of the month, we should be clear and free. And the water line that was had to be dug up for the Taco Bell project is done. And they are now filling all that in. So that traffic on 12th Avenue will reopen shortly. So just want to say thank you to everybody for your patience. I know it's been a rough summer. Next summer we're going to have some challenges as well. So we're trying to improve the streets and the roadways in this community. It's been a long time coming, and working diligently to get that done. So thank you, everybody, for your patience and understanding. And just for those residents who live in 11th Street South in the 1100 block, right by the 13th Street project, there is a telephone pole that was there. There's only one telephone pole on that entire street. It's not working because of the 13th Street project. They had to cut off the power. They ran new power to that pole, and they put a new system in there. But the power pole is made of wood, and it's leaning over into one spot. Just to let everybody know, I did talk to the 2 neighbors that called there. I went and visited them at their home yesterday. And just to let everybody else know, and they'll let all the other neighbors know, that light pole is going to be replaced by the Department of Public Utilities before the snow flies. So for all you who are concerned about that, you'll have some light on your street as you did prior to the construction. So thank you for that. So anybody have anything else you'd like to bring forth to the council meeting before we adjourn? Seeing none, thank you, everybody. We will adjourn to our next council meeting, which will be Tuesday, November 12th, 2024, 5:30 p.m. here in the Culture Chambers. Thank everybody, and please, as Councilor Johnson indicated, everybody else, please exercise your right to vote. It's an important thing, and your vote does matter. We stand adjourned. Thank you. Good night.